Well, good Friday morning, afternoon, and evening. It's Tom from Recovery Live. Uh, Here we talk about everything recovery. This is our live broadcast from Came to Believe Recovery that we do every Friday. And this Friday, April 1st, we're here looking forward to spring coming here, especially in New Jersey. I just want to welcome all our viewers today. We're going to talking today a bit about meeting people where they're at. That bridge from recovery, from addiction to recovery. And it's what we're really, really good at. I want to welcome my co-host, Sean Higgins, to the show. How are you, big dog?
Oh, just getting some water out of my sweet Came to Believe water bottle. I don't know. That's where you can meet me right at the end of this bad boy with some ice cold Came to Believe water. I'm doing pretty good, man. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm here. We finally got some decent weather here in New Jersey. A little bit of rain, but the weather, it's starting to be a little warmer. But I got to tell you, I'm a little bit, I'm over the winter.
Really?
Yeah.
It's that time of year where it gets hard. I mean, there's nothing worse than fall when all the trees are dying and you're like, oh man, -10 is right around the corner. But when spring comes, it's like you're chomping at the bit. Let's go.
I was driving back from the gym today and noticing all the buds on the trees and stuff. And that was really awesome. And I saw a Facebook post by Casera yesterday with the cherry blossoms in Washington. And those are great signs. You know, really, Sean, this is my favorite time of year. The days are getting longer. We got summer coming. It's heating up. Everything's getting alive. So I love this time of year. But it's just at the beginning, you know. I just needed to break through.
I'm not a big fan of the camera angles today. I mean, I look like a tiny guy next to you. I look like a little tiny Sean.
A little tiny guy next
Like
to
I'm
me.
a little baby over here.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with the camera angle. What? Yeah, and I look really big for some reason.
Yeah,
And I'm not any closer, I don't think, than you are. Anyway, this week we're gonna overview some stuff this week. We want to talk about kind of one of the core things that Came to Believe Recovery does when we do our retreats is, and I think it's an expertise. We've really got a niche at this, I think, Sean, is this bridge from addiction to recovery. And actually, you know, we've been finding out with some of our latest guests with harm reduction that some of them are even further outside the door than we are in bringing people to that place, or at least keeping them alive long enough to that they decide to come across the bridge to whatever recovery can meet them. So it's been really great, these conversations. So I know when we get into it in a little bit, we're going to talk a lot about all of this and about what we do and what goes on, and some great examples that you and I saw, especially in California, I think, of people that are just at levels that we don't sometimes see at retreats, right?
Yeah, they were. I mean, when you're homeless, it's hard to come to a retreat in our area, you know, without having somebody pick you up and kind of, you know, so it's why it's really important that we do the 12-step work as members that Came to Believe, because none of those people would have even ended up at the retreat had city teams not reached out to us, you know.
Right.
Wouldn't have had a chance. So they took the hand of this person and walked them to us. And I think, you know, it does happen. I've seen people come in the program that down and out before, but only because somebody took them by the hand and brought them in. But it's not common. That's for sure.
Yeah. And, you know, Sean, I was thinking this morning about, you know, how we're presenting this program and where we're able to present it. And, you know, these things that we did at City Team and probably at the Bay Area Mission, these are really hard things to do, unless there's some fun. You know, they're really hard to do without some funding, without some support from people behind the scenes. And I'm thinking, I don't want to start talking all about money, but once in a while we should talk about how it is that we're able to do this, and how awesome it's been to watch in our on-ground retreats in California, in Loma Mar and in Nevada City. We've had individuals put forth a bunch of money for scholarships, and they've really reduced the cost for people. And while we wish, guys, everybody out there, that we could do this for free for everybody, and we do one-on-one, like really the 12 steps are for free. We don't teach it for money. But when you come to a retreat, you have to pay for room and board and all. That's all it pays for in the administration fees, just to get that clear. But when we are able to give $100 gift or something to somebody, it really helps people come. So that is encouraging to me that we're seeing people be able, because it is, Sean, it's tough for some people to come up with a couple $100 to come for a weekend.
Well, I just want to throw out there too, it's like, how come the treatment centers did get away with like exorbitant costs? I mean, I went to treatment. They taught me the first 4 steps. I saw a couple counselors. They told me I was messing the head, which I already knew that. And then I did some yoga, and then they let me go after 28 days, and it was a lot of money. It was like 30 grand. So how come they get to charge for a third of our program, and it's like 10,000 times the cost. So I don't have a problem with people get in and say, oh, you guys are charging for this and that. It's like, well, show me where you can go to a weekend retreat for $175. Just I think people are always just going to find a way to nitpick anything. If you give them a voice or give them some time, they're going to really find a way to pick us apart too, which I welcome with open arms, because I got some rebuttals. But at the same time, I think it's a steal. That's my opinion.
I know, and they miss. I always say, well, you do know what you're paying for is food and lodging. I mean, if people will say AA is free, and we'll debate that a bit, because when you put your dollar in, that funds a whole organization behind the scenes. But if AA were to put on a retreat like we have, they would charge too for your room and board.
I went to the
right? I mean,
I went to the Gopher State Roundup here, which is huge. It's like a big regional AA thing, and I had to pay to go in. And if I wanted to stay, I had to pay for the hotel room. So,
right. And here's the thing, though. Let's double back. If you don't have money and need to come, we've never turned anyone away. So the primary thing is for people to come, but we have to have some way to cover our costs, and that's all. And so I thought about that today. I thought about, boy, it would be so good if we could just unlock some of that public funding or some funding somewhere that would just allow us to spread the message more. That's all we're doing. And be able to reach people that just really don't have any means. And right, like you say, Sean, we're giving them a jump start. It's not like we're covering their whole life. I mean, a rehab center would be 30 grand. If we threw even $1,000 at people and it jump started them on their life to success, and they started to be contributors to society, why wouldn't we want to do that?
Maybe we should start mining Bitcoin. I don't know.
Let's welcome some of our people on. Let's see who we got today. Tim Lewis on. Yep. Brandy Lang. Brandy, where are you from? Iowa, she said. Great.
Look at that. Hit you with it before you even knew.
All right. Dale Barker's with us. Hey, buddy, down there in Florida. He was posting that he was at the beach the other day. Doc Roth, attaboy. Tom Clancy, how are you, buddy? Hey, Tom, we spoke with Carrie and talked about that retreat out there in Indiana. We'll talk a little bit more about that. There's Carrie. We were speaking to her. There's going to be one. Jamie West, nothing is ever for free. That's a pretty fair statement, right? Franklin, he's regular on the show. So welcome, everybody, to the show today. And let's talk a little bit about what's going on, Sean, and what's coming up with us. Jonathan Klein coming in from Long Island. We should hear him talk. That's how he talks like that. Everybody from Long Island talks like that. We've got some really great stuff coming up and some stuff in the offing. On Mother's Day weekend in Loma Mar, California, is the Redwood Glen retreat, which registration is open right now. I think we've got about half the registrations we thought we had filled, Sean. So this is really good. You and I went and visited that when we were out there, and there's a nice promo video of it. On the next weekend is our flagship retreat in Leesburg, Florida, along with the retreat up at the sanctuary in Rice Lake that Sean will be running. The 2 retreats in a row.
Not Rice Lake, but Clear Lake. We're good.
Yeah.
One of the lakes.
Yeah, there's 10,000 of them. Then the next weekend, the 20th through the 22nd, I believe, in Nevada City, California. There are different areas of California. We'll be back at Camp Del Oro. And that one also has about half of our spaces filled that we have. So it's really exciting. Along with that, Sean, looks like we're going back to the Bay Area City Team missions in the beginning of June. We will probably be in the Bay Area Rescue Mission again in June as well. I spoke with Tim Doyle this week. We spoke to him about the Kansas City retreat. That's in the works for the weekend of June 17th in Kansas City. More info to come. And then we spoke with Carrie Toon about the Indiana retreat, which will probably be at the end of August if we can get it done. So really a lot of stuff going on, my friend.
100%. 100%. We stay busy, man. I'm pretty pumped, especially in the Midwest. See a lot of really good stuff going on. A lot of people getting set free and spreading the message of Came to Believe. So one of my favorite ways, Tom, to spread the message of Came to Believe is with some T-shirts, right?
Right.
Here we go. Got my I Am Recovered shirt. I showed you the mugs. If you look in the back, right there's a tumbler. See it? It's hard to do that backwards, but I just want to show you guys right now. You can go to cametobelieverecovery.org/shop, get yourself some merchandise. This helps fund local scholarships as well as some overall overhead for the entire organization. There's a lot that goes into this. So, and most importantly, it puts you in a position to maybe share your first step with somebody. If you're wearing this shirt and they go, oh, my so-and-so is in this, or end addiction. I really, you say, yeah, I used to be an addict. No, I'm not. And this is how I'm not. And this is how it works. And this is what would work for you if you did it. If you want what I have and are willing to go to any lengths, you can take the steps, and then you can go to Came to Believe and buy a T-shirt, and then you can tell your experience to someone else. So we love to do a T-shirt giveaway every show. Those of you who are veteran listeners know that you can get your chance to win a shirt. So all you got to do is put #recovered into the comment section. We got some early people. People already know they're jumping the gun on you guys. So you new people, get out there, #recovered into the comment section of whatever platform you're listening on. Except Twitter. We won't accept Twitter comments. No, I'm just kidding. We'll accept Twitter. And you can get in the drawing at the end of the show for a free shirt. I'd also like to point out for you guys who just tuned in or aren't familiar with us, we come on here every Friday at 11 a.m., 12 p.m. Eastern, and talk about all things recovery from a grassroots perspective, especially that of Midwest AA. And I guess if you guys stay around till the end of the show, you'll be surprised at some of the things you hear because you may have never heard it before. But it came from the founders of the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. So that's all I got. Tom, I'll pass back over to you.
Yeah, and I love to see those people already in #recovered before you even said anything, Sean. So Ginger, boy, they're all over. We'll have a whole bunch someday.
Check out these cool things I found on the website too. Is some end addiction magnets.
Oh yeah.
Or your let's say maybe you want to make a subtle comment towards your husband who won't stop drinking. Just put this on the refrigerator, right? So every time he goes to get a beer, he has to look at it.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a harm reduction tool, I think.
That's possible. Yeah. I was thinking, Sean, what shirt do you have on today? I have End Addiction on today. And I thought
I got
today,
Carhartt.
Yeah, Krista Carhartt. I thought I would do End Addiction in this thought when we want to talk about meeting people where they're at, standing outside the door, Shoemaker's poem that we kind of quote a lot. And I looked at my #I Am Recovered shirt within this lens of what we might be talking about a bit today. And I thought, imagine if I was a new person. It's possible that some people are intimidated when we all run around with our I Am Recovered shirts when they come in, right? Because they're like, what's that about? And I wondered, I thought today, Nat would do is let me take a step even further away before I come from a place of maybe some pedestal that I'm better than you and just be End Addiction. I don't know. Does it make sense to you?
I actually wanted to. So one of my sponsees wore his shirt for the first time back to a meeting in Indiana where there was a really prominent lady there in the AA community. She was, serving on whatever kind of boards they have. I'm not 100% familiar with all of the AA hierarchy, but she was a part of that class of people. And when she saw it, thankfully for him, she wasn't offended right away, because that usually is what happened. People usually start to really mess with some people's heads. And she goes, what is that? And then he just like from the retreat, explains where he found it in the book, what it means, what the founders believed about it. And she was like, that is amazing. So she wanted church. She wanted people to go to the retreats. So it does have this a multitude of effects. It depends where you are, because I've gotten people with 30 years who, the dudes at the meetings that used to
Yeah.
smoke like the Camel filterless, like that type of guy. He
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
like the I am recovered shirt. But there are a lot of people who, when you take some time to explain it, are like, oh my gosh, I've never heard that. And that makes total sense. I'm not cured, but I am recovered. I don't think and act the way I used to. So
And so, right, as much as I think that it could potentially put somebody off, it's also very inspiring to people. When we went to City Team, they were like, really? You can be recovered? I mean, it was an inspiration that, wait, we don't have to wait a year? You mean you guys are doing this in a weekend? And I had guys telling me, I know you did too in your small group, that wow, how encouraging it was that they could get this jump start in just 3 days and they didn't have to wait a year.
yeah, don't let the Camel filterless old timer
Yeah.
out of it. You know what I mean? He's got like the white. It's his hair's white, but then it's like yellow again, and you're like, is that from? Is like, are you blonde, or is that just from the cigarettes? You remember when we could smoke in meetings? It was just crazy.
Yeah. I mean, you could
You
pick those guys and girls out from a mile away too. You're like, oh boy, here we go. And whatever, I mean, we're just, you know, it's just they do get bristled when we talk about being recovered. Um, we had some people that were so new at City Teams, they didn't really know anything about the 12 steps, and if they whatever they've learned was so far from what we do. Remember hearing a guy saying, when did they change this in the big book? And I said, they never changed it, 1 through 9 once, and 10, 11, and 12. They said, when did they change that? And I remember saying, they never changed it. This
Well,
is the way it's always been.
they took some stuff out and stuff, or in the 4th edition, but nothing like that.
Nothing like that. So I was like,
Do
and
you remember the smoking meetings? Did you used to smoke in meetings? Do they have those in New Jersey, or is that kind of a
oh my gosh, when I came in, yeah, they were smoking. Your eyes would burn. The smoking was
it's like you smoke a half a pack of cigarettes all day and then like a full pack during the meeting. It's like,
just in the meeting, yeah, just button one up against the other, back to back.
And there's always, like you said, one dude would be smoking a cigar, and you're just like, what the heck? What is going on? You have to throw away the clothes you wore to the meeting.
It was like controversial. People would be like, oh, that's a non-smoking meeting. We ain't going to that one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and
but
now
there was always more wisdom at the non-smoking meeting. There was, you go to the smoking meeting, it was just a topic and a bunch of complaining. And you'd go to the non-smoking meeting for a deeper revelation of what's going on in the program. But as far as smokers go, it's like, heck no, I ain't going to the non-smoking meeting. I got 10 cigarettes to smoke in the next hour, and I'm 10 not smoking every one of them.
It's good. But I think, Sean, that the format that we have now, where we start on Friday night, the big book has like 3 chapters on really steps 1 and 2, right? There is a solution, we agnostics, and more about alcoholism. Really, when you read all that, that's a lot of the first part of the program is all about what it is to be a real addict, what it is to, and how people become that way, and things people have done. And then what about this solution and this powerlessness, and all about convincing someone, or not convincing someone, but letting someone determine for themselves where they are and whether they want to move on, and that is if a solution is in their wheelhouse. And I think we've got a key there where we spend all Friday night just talking about that with people and allowing them to just let prejudices by without telling them to do anything. Just talk about that. I can't hear you, brother.
Hey, meeting someone where they're at is one of the most challenging parts for some people when it comes to returning to the retreat, because you are so jacked about where you were taken in the retreat. You were so jacked about where God brought you that you really do just want people to get there, to be there, because you have this heart to spread it to them. But what ends up happening is you totally miss the part that everyone did for you, and it met you right where you were. So you quick want them to jump in to steps like 3 and 5 and 7 and 9, rather than letting the steps actually do the work, which is step 1, which is intended to say like, hey, I know what you're going through. I used to be like you. I want to meet you right here, grab your hand and rip you through to the 4th dimension of existence. But I want to do it on your time and at your pace.
So we got a couple comments. So let's talk about the smoking. There are some people saying that they're actually, Thad Johnson's disappointed that there's no more smoking meetings, right? So I guess we should go. We're not saying you can't smoke when you're in your beginning of your sobriety, but they don't, and it's not, Sean, you and I don't make the rules, but the meetings aren't smoking inside a building. Like, it's just a health thing. It's not a thing where there's not smoking. Everybody smokes outside. So if I was a smoker, I'd be okay smoking outside. I could go, we kid about it, but I could go an hour without a cigarette.
Here's the thing is you probably could start one at your house if you'd like. I mean, no one's going to stop you from doing that. But it's 48 days over. I mean, you might as well just get a carton of cigs and split it amongst each other and just turn your walls yellow, my man. So Thad, make smoking meetings great again. That's all.
Oh, wow. Oh, that was just wrong. So meeting people where they're at, and that in a lot of categories, Sean, it's not just spiritually, it's emotionally, it's physically, it's where they are in their life, without judgment, and just try to connect with them and help them and get them in a comfortable place where they might want what we have, or there's some opportunity to help them get out of whatever it is that they're in. It's a tough thing to do because like you were saying before, I mean, we all want to, the feeling that we want people to be right where we're at right away. It's really hard to overcome that. When you meet somebody, you just want to say, just right?
100%. Look at Thaddeus is on board. He's a smoking meeting at Thad's house. Look how happy his profile picture. He's jacked about it. I want to highlight another. Her name's April. I just saw this. She's in recovery. Lost her mom and dad 2 months and 3 weeks apart. Stuck to her guns and stayed in to begin her recovery and stay taking one day at a time. So we're really proud of you for that. I'm glad you tuned in. She said it's her first time here. So we're happy to have you. And you were right. It doesn't matter what goes on around you. You can definitely stay in the pocket on this thing. So we're very proud of you for doing that. And thanks for tuning in.
Where are you, April? Let us know where you are so we can give your area a little shout out. Sue Foreman has joined us. And Pam, hi, Pam is with us too. So she's saying yes, April. So that either means Pam knows her or is just agreeing. I don't know. Thank you.
Look at Melissa McManus, 40 cigarettes a day. That's 2 an hour if you didn't sleep. She's from Ireland, right? Or no, Wales?
She's from Wales. She's in Wales.
I could see that. Anytime I think of Europe, I just think of smoking for some reason. So she's just living up to my stereotype, I guess.
Right. 40 cigarettes a day is a lot. I don't know if I did 40, except on the cocaine days. Union, South Carolina. All right.
Oh, South Carolina. Pam's proud of her.
Yeah. That's really good. So yeah, meeting people where they're at. It's really important. And so, we've been talking now, this extra element, this thing where we've been talking a lot about harm reduction. So maybe we can coax Casera to come on, because she's had some experience reaching out to some people and meeting them where they're at, even before they wanted to recover, and can talk to us about some of her experiences with some people by meeting them where they're at. Can we bring Casera on? Let's see. I'll do it. There she is. Hi, Casera.
Hi.
I love those pictures from the cherry blossoms.
Yeah, it was fun. It was really pretty. There were so many people there. It was hard even to get a picture because, everyone's like trying to get the perfect picture, posing by them and everything. But it was fun.
Is it like the peak right now, or did it just start? It only lasts a couple weeks, right? Or a month?
Yeah, the peak was a couple days ago. They posted it in the news that they finally hit their peak. So I think it's till next week, then they're it's going to start going back down. Because some of them were like really fully bloomed and really pretty, but some of them still didn't look like they were fully bloomed. So I think probably another week, and then that'll start to fade again.
It's a bucket list item, even though it's not a big bucket list item, is to see the
Yeah.
cherry blossoms in Washington. They say it's spectacular because there's a couple thousand or 1,000 trees, and it's spectacular when they come. They
Yeah.
were given to us by the Japanese government, I think, in the 1800s. Yeah,
It's like
it's,
30 years before World War II.
yeah,
Something like that.
yeah. So,
Listen, I got like a good topic for with Casera being on here, especially about meeting people where they're at. And I don't like how small I look. Look at this tiny Sean over here on the side.
we're trying to keep you in your place, man.
Yes.
So we did this on purpose.
Mhm.
People used to refer to me as the Velvet Hammer, but there wasn't a lot of velvet to it. I like a blunt response. I don't like to sugarcoat the truth. I like to tell people how it is. I think that if I don't, I'm robbing them of the freedom that might come with hearing the truth. So I lean on that side of the spectrum. So when you talk about stuff like harm reduction and meeting people where they're at, that rubs me raw on some of those subjects, because I'm like, no, these people need to be told, like, if you don't do this, you're gonna die. You gotta get off your butt. You gotta move this direction. You gotta jump, whatever. I know those aren't things I'd say, but I like the more blunt approach. And I know, meet them where they're at. A lot of comfort, a lot of care. Someone in my position might say a lot of coddling. Might say that maybe it's enabling. I don't know if I necessarily say that, but someone in my position might. So I think it's a very good topic for me. I know that you can't make a rule. Like, sometimes being blunt is right. Sometimes being comforting is right. Sometimes enabling is the place to be. What do you think about the dichotomy in that? We're like, we follow a biblical view of the world. That's what Came to Believe is rooted in, and the Midwest founders were rooted in. And if you listen to Jesus, he's pretty blunt. He doesn't sugarcoat the truth for people because he doesn't want to rob them of the experience that comes with hearing the truth and the freedom they can find. Your rebuttal to the fact that maybe being blunt all the time isn't the best way to go about it.
And Casera, before you answer, I just want to comment on one thing: is that the man who gives the blunt advice is not so quick to take the blunt advice.
There
Have you met Mike Higgins? Like, I've been living in blunt advice since
but your sponsor, we get light suggestions, and they are definitely just suggestions.
Oh my
Very
goodness.
good. Go ahead.
Right.
This is a good one for you.
Yeah. See you, Tom. It was nice having you on.
I think that there's a difference between being blunt and imposing your truth on someone else, right? I agree, like, there's a time to be blunt. Like, if someone says something really disrespectful, you should step in and be like, that's not cool at all. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, or things like that, right? That's being blunt. That's kind of stepping in. When you look at someone and say, this is what you need to do, this is what you need, you should be at this point in your life, you're imposing what you think the truth is onto them, right? You have no idea what their life has been like. You don't know what led to this exact moment, but you don't know what people have been saying to them their whole entire life. So for you to look at them and pretend like you know what they need, right? To me, that's not right. That's not being blunt. That's being rude.
Aren't there some universal truths and like some facts about like situations to say, like, if you do A, you will do B. Like, if you do too much heroin, you will overdose and die. If you don't get off the streets and do something with your life, you might die. I know those are pretty broad and overarching statements, but you can bring universal truths down to something a little bit more accurate for that person. So maybe even if it wasn't my same life experience, I might have an understanding of a truth for them that if they don't hear it, might not. And, being blunt about it too doesn't always work. So even if the truth is right. So, what about those situations where it is a universal thing, where if they did do X, Y would be the result?
Well, it's one thing to say, if you're actively using heroin, if you continue, you could overdose and you could die. They're going to look at you and go, yeah, I know, right? That doesn't help solve. They probably know that, right? A lot of people that are really in it, they know that. That's not the issue. They know they could die. Maybe I've met people that have overdosed 15, 20 times. Like one person overdosed Friday, 12 hours later, overdosed again. Like, they know that's not really it. But the whole point of meeting somewhere where they're at, to me, is that you're going up to them and you're asking them what they need. I'm not going to go up to you and be like, this is what we should do for you. This is what I can do for you. What do you need? And they might need a blunt answer, like, tell me what to do with myself because I'm at a loss. They might need that.
Mm.
And if they tell you that, then go ahead and say that to them. But if they say, I don't want to hear it right now, I haven't eaten in 5 days, I haven't showered in a month, and no one has smiled at me in 2 years. Okay, well, I'm not going to sit there and be like, listen, what you actually need to do is stop doing XYZ. No, I'm going to feed them. I'm going to see where they can take a shower, and I'm going to smile at them and see how we can help them, because that's what's meeting them where they're at. It's not about, like, it's so different. That's what it's very, very different. Someone coming to a retreat compared to being in the streets of a high risk area of someone who is in active use, homeless, and doesn't even know that if they want a way out, if they want to stop using, doesn't know any of that. They're just entangled in it. So it's very different when I got to go into Patterson and be there, right? I didn't just come up with all these ideas and what I believe in. It didn't just happen. I didn't read it in a textbook. It's because I literally knew nothing, was thrown into the streets of Patterson, New Jersey, and just learned through them by being silent. They told me. I didn't talk. I was afraid that I was going to say the wrong thing and that I couldn't help them because I didn't have a background with substance use. Like, I was like, they're not going to want to hear from me. They're not going to trust me. So I didn't say anything. I just smiled, gave things, but they started talking to me. They started telling me what they needed. They started helping me, being like, oh, give me, I remember my first day, his name was James. He was amazing. And he came up to me and he's like, give me your notepad. I'll tell you what we need. I'm like, all right. So he made me a list of what they need for next time we come. And to me, that's meeting people where they're at. Is you're there for them, right? When I'm there, I'm not there for my ego so I can say, oh, I helped them recover. I got them to this point, like I was there. Like, no, I'm there for them. So it's whatever they need. And you don't know what they need until you ask. And again, it might end up being that they want you to be blunt and just, they want Sean to come drag them to a retreat. And you know what? If they want that, that's fine. Go ahead, then you're in. But if they just want someone to chat with, I'll put you on the sideline and I'll go. That's what I think meeting people where they are at is.
Pam's in, says, well done, Cassandra. Well, I'll let her know your name's Cassandra. We love you, Pam. But yes, so that's why this isn't a straight cut and black and white issue, because advice that people didn't ask for is codependency. To give someone my advice that they didn't ask for is being codependent on my part. What I do find though is like you have this, how do I get in the middle? There we go. You got this spectrum of where people are just starting, and then people who are just about ready to enter into the program. And where you are, you're going out, I'm gonna love on these people. That's where a lot of people in the harm reduction area, that's where their camp is. These people aren't even ready to get sober. These people aren't even looking at it. They could care less. They pretty much want to die. We're going to keep them alive till they're ready. You got people like Tom and myself. I'm at the last exit for these people, and it's time to crap or get off the pot. And that's how God designed me, and that's how God designed you. And that's why I think when we get in these debates over subjects that aren't actually unilateral, like they don't mix, it's not one, we're on two different ends of the board doing two different things, but the problem is the same. It ends for us to start fighting back and forth, like, no, you can't do that, you can't do that. And it's like, actually, we both can exist. We're both crucial to this person's life. One of the questions I had for you, Tom, is like, do you see if when you meet someone where they're at, and we'll just say Cassandra's way of doing it is, when you have Cassandра's mentality, when you do meet someone who's really in the midst of it, I mean, right? And then things change as you start to move into a deeper relationship. Your truths start to get a little bit more blunt, and your like, I guess, quote unquote, kindness towards it gets a little bit more rough around the edges, right? I mean, that's kind of the relationship you see when you're working with an addict in the program, right?
Right. Yeah. You know, and we Cassandra made a great distinction, and you're making it too, Sean. There's two, and I don't think we're as far away in the camps as you might think. It's not, there's harm reduction over here, and then there's us over here. Because the people that show up at our retreats are broken, and they're as out on the door. They're all, some of them are just literally a step off the street and don't know that they want to be recovered yet. They don't all come in knowing what they want. And so we are meeting people where they're at. I mean, when we went to city teams, that was a level of harm reduction. I mean, we had to do this without offending them and without telling them what to do, but we were giving a recovery message. That element, that what Cassandra does, is an element that we don't do. Like when they come in, I guess, though, if someone came in and said, I don't want this. Actually, I had a guy, Sean, sat down in my small group and said, I don't believe in God. I don't want anything about this. I don't know what to do. I was just told to be here. I go, all right, well, just hang in there, brother. Maybe there'll be something you hear. You know, that's all he wanted to hear at the time. I didn't say, well, you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it. But I would totally tend, Sean, if I was out with Cassandra, and I want to do this with Cassandra or somebody and go do this harm reduction, that if I went back, and I'm a person who would be more likely to not be with a hammer at all. I have that in my wheelhouse. I feel like I could just go and be nice to someone. But by about the fourth time I went and saw them, it would be hard for me not to start talking about, why don't you want what I have, right?
Yeah.
I think it's right. You think that because you've never been in that situation, but then when you're with the people and start talking to them and you're seeing them more and you see what they're going through and see that like they need their basic needs met, then it's a little different. Because I felt like I didn't really, besides doing research projects and learning academically about substance use and what's going on and how we're treating people, you know, I didn't have any idea except, you know, what you see in movies. That's not great. So I didn't know anything until I went there and I learned it and I did it for myself, and it on a very small scale. I'm not saying I did anything great, but like I got to experience it with people who had been through it and had so much to offer and so many different stories. And I just sat there and asked them questions and let them explain it to me. And then once you're in it, it's a lot different than sitting here and just talking about it. So like you might one day, hopefully, maybe you can go out with Kelly and you can just like listen to her, because that's how I learned, just listening to Kelly do what she did and trying to jump in. You might come back and be like, I lied. It's not like that at all. Like this is how I actually feel. So that's what's interesting about it. It's like you don't know until you take a little dip into it and become more educated and learn about it. Because we talked about this before when Jesse was on. When I hear 12 steps, I'm like, right? That was my original conception, because I didn't have as much experience. All I had was experience with people on the streets telling me that they got kicked out of meetings and told that they were losers and deserved to die. That's what people are telling me. So I'm like, how could someone do that and claim to be, holy and following 12 steps, and that's what they're telling people? But that's not true. Right now I'm here and that's not true. Like maybe for some meetings, maybe, but like here, that's not true. That's not how it's done. That's not how it should be done. Like you guys are showing love and commitment and being there. But if I never came here, I would have never known that. And I could have been spreading lies about Cain to Believe and didn't even know.
Well, one of the things about, so if people listen to this show, they're going to think, oh, Sean, he is nothing but a jerk. Like I've been in situations. I love pouring grace out. Believe me, I have a huge heart. I'm a giant teddy bear in this. If you're watching this show, I look like a small teddy bear. But the founders of Alcoholics Anonymous, the Midwest founders, had this idea that if you weren't 100% ready, you were wasting your time. They had this fundamental belief that I actually share as well, that until you are 100% ready, doing anything other than driving yourself farther down to rock bottom is a waste of your time, because you need to actually hit rock bottom before you'll get ready. So they really did not let a lot of people come to AA in the beginning. You had to get vetted to come in because they wanted you to really be ready. And they felt that that was compassionate. And I do actually agree that I think that's compassionate too, to not let someone waste 6 months, 9 months, 2 years of their life getting something that was inevitably not going to stick in the first place, allowing them to go back, hit the bottom that was going to in turn rocket them into the fourth dimension of existence. That is a lost art in our society today, in our culture. That's why I'm banging on the drum in the show, is because I do believe there is some truth in that coddling and enabling is actually a more crueler way of treating an addict sometimes than to just be open, honest, and truthful with them about what's going on and what's going to cause them. I mean, the big book says, hey, if you don't think you're an alcoholic, here's some money, go to the bar, drink, tell me what happens, go figure it out.
I'm going to push back a little, Sean, though. I hear what you're saying, but when someone showed up at the hospital, Dr. Bob took care of them medically. They would take care of them. They didn't turn them away. So they practiced harm. They would feed somebody. They would get them off their drugs. They would give them their medications. They'd get them right. And you're right. When it came time, if they said, do you want to do something? And people said, no, I'm going to go. They let them go back out. But they would take care of them. They didn't just not. They would have fed them and basic human needs to keep someone alive. I don't believe they would have gone. And I think that's where there's a disconnect, maybe with you too. But I get what you're saying. But what Kasera is saying is we've got to keep them alive until they're ready to come in. We don't have to be telling them you're not going to make it or talk anything about program, but keeping them alive until they ask for something is something I think those guys back then would have done. They did it in the hospitals, right? They didn't start talking to them about anything until they were there a week or so. I don't know.
Yeah. Now, saying what to rebuttal the point that Kasera was making was going as far as saying you don't deserve to live. That's right. Far in a meeting. But for someone in a meeting to say, like, you're not going to get it. If you keep thinking like this and acting like this, it's not going to work for you. You might as well go back out and use. I'm not 100% like, and there's probably people listening that are like, oh my gosh, that's so harsh. That's so mean. Is it? Is stopping the bleeding and allowing them to go out and do what they need to do to fully reconcile the fact that they're an addict and alcoholic and need to do the deal to the best of their ability. Is that really harsh? Is it really harmful?
Sean, damaging? I'm going to be on board with you. They walk into an AA meeting and sit down and listen and start spreading. And there's some experience, strength, and hope in the room. And for us to say to them, listen, that kind of thinking is what got us all here. And if you don't change your thinking, you're going to take. I think that's absolutely fair, Sean. We ought to do that. I'm on board with you with that.
But framing it like that is like a bad thing necessarily.
Right.
It's all.
I think people have been really harsh, especially when there was the battle between alcoholics and addicts in AA. Remember how that was something before my time, but Tom, you might remember that when like alcoholic meetings were like, these are closed only. There was a real big like disdain for addicts. They didn't want them in the meeting. That caused a lot of what Kasera is dealing with today when she hears on the streets with the alcoholics and addicts who had a bad experience with AA. It is really driven from some of that time period where they didn't have love and compassion. If you say what I say to somebody, if I look someone in the eyes and I'm like, they're not going to get it. If they don't hear this, they're not going to get it. And I tell it out of love and compassion. That's one thing. But to be all like, you're stupid, get out of here. You're a waste of time. You'll never be like us. Go die on the streets. So I guess if you have it's where your heart is. And even if your heart is compassionate and kind, you can still be blunt and harsh in a way that's detrimental rather than. So I love the conversation, especially with you guys, where we can debate these things and people aren't getting their feelings hurt. Because on some level, I can see it in Kasera's eyes. She disagrees with me to the core on some level. But at the same time, I think we both have opened our eyes a little bit to the opposing views.
Yeah, I mean, I don't aggressively disagree with you.
Yeah. Tell us a story then, because we're talking about meeting people where they're at. Sean and I have all sorts of stories about meeting people where they're at and having them be so far away outside the door and having come along and then gotten recovered, gotten a program. Do you have a specific story from being in the street where as you were approached, you had some, by meeting them where they're at, it ended up being a real success story?
I think that, let me see. I'm trying to think in Patterson.
Or do you know of somebody? Did Kelly tell you of somebody? Do you know? I mean, we know there are.
Oh yeah, there's a. I'm thinking of like Operation Helping Hand where they go out, and there have been people. There was this one individual where they went out. And it was Erica who went out. You know, the police arrest them. They end up talking to CARES. She ended up talking to him, and she was like, you know, we're here. Erica's really like, we love you. We're here. Like, let's do this. And he was like, F off. And she was like, okay, that's fine too. You know, gave him Narcan, gave him the like care packages, talked to him. This is my card. And like a year or two later, you know, he forgot all about it. But I believe it was one of his friends overdosed. He had our Narcan kit, used it, saved a friend, looked at the kit and was like, oh, these people. And ended up calling and then went through recovery and is in recovery and things like that. And I think he wasn't ready. He said, bye, F you, I don't want anything to do with you. And then because they didn't say, okay, whatever, they said, oh, okay, you know, like, here's this, here's that. All he remembered was she was kind. She listened to him. And I have this Narcan kit that saved my friend and now it's saving me. And I think that's why not that I aggressively disagree with Sean or disagree with anything. It's like, I just think, look how powerful that is. And even people coming into the recovery center and just pouring over you and saying like, this is what saved me. No one looked at me. No one gave me the time of day. Everyone just dismissed me, said, you know, you're never going to be worth anything. You're never going to enter recovery. That's it for you. And then here they are. Someone just was kind to them on the street one day and they were like, what's that about? And then they gained trust and now here they are in recovery doing amazing things. And even some of my coworkers, their stories were, I'm like, how old are you again? You lived like 25 lifetimes. And like, I feel like that's probably you guys too. Like you guys have lived 25 lives. I'm like, I'm confused how you got all that done. Like I'm confused. But they explain how someone showed them love and kindness and they got here. And sometimes people didn't show them love and kindness. They still got here. And I think that that's why my biggest thing, the way I see it, is that we all can say we all believe that human beings in general deserve to be treated as autonomous, treated with dignity and respect, right? That's just, I think we can all agree on that part. We don't have to debate that. But then all of a sudden, when it comes to like substance use gets involved, we like our brains get all fuzzy and everything gets like discombobulated and we're like, well, are they autonomous? Can they choose? Should we ask them what they want? Well, they chose not to have dignity. Do we respect them? This, that, like, I feel like people get it all jumbled all of a sudden just because substance use got involved. And to me, it's like, just relax. They're human beings having a hard time. And I don't know, I feel like people get crazy about it and they don't see them as humans anymore, but it's like, it's a human being having a hard time. So like take a step back, take a deep breath and ask them, what do you need? How are you doing? And I just, at the most basic level, think that that's why it's so important to be out in the streets, meeting people, because they remember you. And Sean's 6'8", so like they won't forget you. But like, you know, you say something funny, something nice to them, like they're gonna remember you. And one day they're gonna pick up that mug you left them and be like, end addiction, came to believe. Let me Google them again. Let me see, what is this? Like, where are they again? And then they're going to show up at a retreat and be like, 2 years ago, this tall weirdo gave me a mug and was really nice to me. So I wanted to find you guys and come here. And then it just keeps going.
Well, listen, people are going to be perplexed at me when they're done with the show because I would actually be 100% in favor of putting Came to Believe on syringes and crack pipes and going and handing them out because the people are going to use syringes. They're going to use crack pipes anyway. They might as well have us right on the forefront of saying, when I'm done with this, I want, so people are going to say, well, this guy's all about being blunt and harsh. With crack pipes. It's just is what it is. It's been actually a really good topic for the show. We got a lot of people chiming in. So
there won't be crack pipes on our merch list. There won't be game. No, there are not.
Needed this.
Hey, Sean,
Sean Higgins is not a jerk. I like that.
Let's show you this. Here's something you hardly ever get, right? I got a text from Doc Roth, and look at this, Sean. He sent it to us so we can say this. If you could see it.
What is it? Oh, that's part of the show. It'd be funny if he's there, like pretending to chime in with us, like talking to us.
Right. There's Doc. He said, now nobody else could do that because they don't have my phone number. So I'm not giving it, but Doc does. And it's a great discussion, Sean. It's really something that's really important that we're talking about this. And we talk a little bit about it every week. We want to reach people where they're at on all different levels and then get them the solution that we have when they come through our doors.
If you don't mind, I want to pull up one more comment and then we'll be in for wrapping up the show. Because I think this is, it says, how about looking at others like God does? So, if you come all the way back to the God view of this whole thing, I would have a hard time believing that the three of us are not looking at all these people with love and compassion. We're not coming at this and saying, like, it's not one person that's saying, like, we need to treat these people like human beings, and another person that's saying, oh, they're dogs, they need to die on the street. It really is people with compassion and love for a community, giving of our time freely, volunteering our money, giving of our lives, and just different methodologies in it about saying, if I could make a case with the comment that Dale made, well, let's look at him like God. Well, Jesus was pretty blunt with some people, especially the Samaritan who wanted her daughter healed. He said, I didn't come for the Samaritans, I came for the Jews. He was full on with his mission. Now the lady ended up talking him into changing his mind, and he did heal her daughter. But he had compassion for them just as much as we have compassion for alcoholics and addicts. So the key is figuring out, how do we respond to our love and our compassion for these people? And Casera says, you love them where they are, you keep them alive. And I'm thinking, like, you put some pressure on them to push them into this freedom that we know is good for them. And that's kind of the debate back and forth. I think it's all good, and I think it's all necessary. And I think you, as a true member of a community that helps alcoholics and addicts, you have to be able to ebb and flow throughout the process. To one time say something you don't want to say, and one time be more compassionate than you thought you needed to be.
Well, I got to tell you this, though, Sean. Without Casera coming on board with us, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation. So this is a really, it shows us that we need to be open to other things and other people. And just like Casera said, she wouldn't have been open to talking about 12-step stuff had she not come on board with us. So it's such a reason to know that I just don't know everything, and that we just always have to stay open to everything, because we just don't know what we are going to hear that we think we are so against, and we know nothing about it. Then we learn a little bit and go, wait a minute, I'm not so against that. I'm actually not against that. Right? So anyway, thanks for coming on today again, Casera. And I think we got to do the t-shirt giveaway, right, Sean?
Yeah, we got to kick Casera off, which is my favorite time, because we are
we are
We're
gonna meet her in person one day, Sean, and be her and Lisa at the same time. It's gonna be problems for you.
She's gonna treat me like Will Smith did Chris Rock.
Lisa's still upset that you didn't congratulate her on Employee Day. I mean, she
did bring that up
the other day. She said, yeah, you're in trouble, brother. You don't want to meet Lisa.
What does Dale Barker say? I'm just giving him a reason to practice love and tolerance. That's all.
Oh, he does say that to me when he.
Here we go. Watch out.
Yeah, I told you she's here.
All right. Well, see you later, Cassandra for short. Oh, you want to do the t-shirt giveaway? It's my favorite time. Yep. We get to pronounce someone a winner. So let me see if I can pull up. Make sure you put hashtag recovered into the comment section on whatever platform you're on. It'll get you entered into the drawing. Let's pull this bad boy up, see what we got going on here. Boom. Oh, a decent amount of entries today. So should I hit the button? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh,
go.
Let's go.
I want Carrie to win one. Doc!
Oh, Doc, man. Take a screenshot, brother. Get another shirt. We should just have a Doc Roth signature series shirt. Look at that confetti fall.
Yeah. Look what Dale said. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Like, did he really say that? We almost have to just make fun of him because of that. So Sean, I got to give us both credit. You know, April Fool's Day today, and neither of us engaged in any foolishness today on April Fool's. I was trying to think of something to do to you before the show went on, and I just couldn't come up with anything. So I think we did good. Did anybody do anything to you today? We didn't even talk about it. April Fool's Day. Does it even matter? Did your
April Fools? We got rid of Sean. I'm the new host now, everyone. Oh.
Gosh. There is a button here that says ban from studio. I think I didn't hit it. My daughter turned we probably have 40 or 50 pictures in our house, and she turned every one of them upside down. Look at, maybe you can even see if I went over there in my office is turned upside down. See, it's Jesus hugging me upside down. So every picture in our entire house has been flipped upside down. I don't necessarily understand how that's like, oh, April Fool's. I feel like more that's just a pain in the butt. Now I gotta go flip.
Right. I was gonna say, well, how's that an April Fool's?
I took a bag of glitter and threw it on her carpet in her room too. April Fool's.
Like, what? I don't know.
You gotta clean up.
All right. Well, thanks for everybody coming today. Again, go to that website. We got all these retreats coming big time in California in May, and we're going to be in Wisconsin in May, and we're going to be down in Florida in May, then Kansas City, in Missouri, and in Indiana with new retreats. And then in the fall, we'll be up in New Jersey on Schooley's Mountain. Sean will be probably back in Clear Lake, right? Rice Lake. Which one was it? Clear Lake.
Clear Conscience. Just remember that.
Clear Conscience. And the Schooley's Mountain gang, guys, we're the Pennsylvania gang that we've really engaged with that came down to Leesburg. They're going to bring their contingent over to Schooley's Mountain this year for the first one. So it's kind of a Schooley's Mountain first Pennsylvania, Eastern Pennsylvania opening. So it's really exciting. And I know we got another virtual retreat on the back burner, guys. Everybody that's been asking us for the virtual retreat, it's coming. We got it coming. So go ahead and close it out for us, Ron, on this great April 1st.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Recovery Live here with Came to Believe. We're very happy that you could come and join us today. We know that you could be anywhere in the world and listening to anybody on the interweb, and you chose to tune in here. So one of the best parts about this program is that we get to spread what I would consider relevant, and it's not new. It's old information about the grassroots movements of Alcoholics Anonymous. And we discuss those topics about how people found freedom in just 3 days. And we would absolutely love if you could help us share this message. So if you can hit share, like, subscribe, whatever platform you're on, get it out there, share it to someone you know that might be interested. And other than that, you can tune in every Friday.